Hello everybody, my name is Marcin Bella and this is my Piano for Everyone webinar where I explain the fundamentals of a healthy, enjoyable and sustainable practice of playing the piano. I'm really excited to finally start working. I did the introduction last week and I've been kind of toying around with putting it out there for a long time. The reason it took me a while to put it all together is that I really wanted it to be piano for everyone. So I want it to be a course that will be equally useful to professionals who already play, or amateurs, enthusiasts who already play, and for people who haven't played at all, who are complete beginners, as well as teachers, as well as parents of children who want to introduce their children to the instrument but aren't quite ready to sign them up for actual lessons. So this is a course on real fundamentals of how playing the piano works so that everyone can apply it to whatever piano means in their lives right now. This is chapter 1, technique and warm-ups. In this chapter I'm going to show you how to touch the piano in the right way, how to train your body to hit the keys in the way that will allow you to grow. In anything we do, we can either do it right away and then have infinite growth potential, or kind of find some hacks that work for now and will make us hit the wall later. In my personal life, tennis is kind of a tragic story like that. I always loved tennis. I loved watching tennis, but as a child pianist, I was told that would be bad for my elbow, and probably rightly so. I still kind of dabbled, but I never learned how to do it right. And boy, doing this when you try to play tennis after a while just really doesn't work. So I want to show you how to do it the right way. So however high you want to go, you can really take it all the way. And if you're already playing, then this course will give you a new perspective on your own practice. So the first thing that I want you to do, and if you are just touching the piano for the first time, it's great. Welcome to this world. I'm really excited to have you here. But even if you already play, please watch this. It may give you some insights onto what you're doing. So what I want to do is the so-called 5-finger exercise. You might have heard of it. This is where you put your hand on the white keys of the keyboard in a consecutive order. So thumb on one, your index finger on the next one, middle finger, and so on. So you're in this like nice, tight, natural finger position. And first, I actually don't want you to do anything. First, I want you to just rest your hand on it and relax. And the relax is really the key word to all of it. I'm going to potentially move out of the shot for a second to show you the right angle. You need to be like sitting in the very nice upright position. Your forearm needs to be really parallel to the floor, wrist slightly above the key level, and look at my hand. It looks like it's resting, right? It looks like it's completely relaxing, and it is. And believe it or not, this really is the default look of a pianist's hand. This is what it should look like. Fingers slightly curved, and it looks like it's resting. Even if it's working pretty hard, it still looks like it's resting. This is super important. So now, next thing is let's use all the fingers. Now, if you are a mother of a 3-year-old, for instance, and you're showing your child the piano, whether or not you know how to play, this could be the first 6 months of your piano time with your child, right? Like, let's make every finger play, because a 3-year-old will want to do this or this or this, so just the concept of separating the fingers is going to be a huge deal in your child's development. And then when for adults, when we actually play using every finger, let's focus a little bit on what it should feel like in your body to do that. So first of all, we hit the keys. You know, when you think about what happens inside of a real piano, there are strings that make the noise and there are hammers that hit it, right? So it's not a touch, you know, it's not a gentle touch, it's an actual hitting mechanism. So just like in baseball, you know, we need to plant the feet, take a little swing and hit the ball. Tennis also. On the piano as well, we want to take a little swing and actually hit the key. And then the crucial part, right after you hit the key, you want to immediately relax. And not just relax the hand. You want to relax your forearm. You want to relax your entire arm from the shoulder down. The way to check it is to hit the key, make sure your wrist doesn't sink below the key level or stick out. You're still holding the key down, you're still causing the sound to happen. And then, look, knock your elbow. Knock your elbow to see if your arm is dangling. If it's not, that means that you're engaging some muscles that do not need to be engaged. Let's move on to the next finger. See, I took a little swing, boom, and hit it. So you hit concisely and fast, and then relax. Next finger, swing, boom, hit it, and relax. And so on, and so forth. Your pinky, mine kind of hooks, it doesn't really curve. Your pinky may curve, but just like make sure that you're hitting at an angle. It's very important. So this is your 5-finger exercise. Very simple, right? You put your hand anywhere on the piano, hit a key, relax, hit a key, relax, hit a key, relax, and make sure that you're relaxed. Some things that may want to happen if you're new to this, your knuckle may collapse here because these tendons are not developed yet. So make sure that there is a nice curve. That's one of the things to check for. The next thing you may want to explore is the concept of legato. Legato. Legato is an Italian word for fluid, for smooth. You know, one of the cool things about playing the piano is fluidity, right? Even though it's a percussive instrument, it does have the capability to sound really fluid, to sound smooth. So how do we achieve that? In your 5-finger exercise, make sure that your previous sounds ends exactly as the next one begins. So you hold the key down until the next one presses. There are no overlaps, right? You don't want that. But there are no breaks either. It's really fluid. The sound lasts until the next one begins. That makes the piano sound like it's singing. And it's a huge deal. For instance, in that January by Tchaikovsky I played in the beginning, you know, you really could that top line sounds like a singing line, or it sounds like it could be the violin or the clarinet. The piano can sing, but for that to be the case, we need to play legato. We need to really smoothly connect the sounds. The good news in all of this is that you don't, in order to get your fingers moving the right way, you don't even have to be at the piano. You can do it at the kitchen table, right? Just make sure that you take a swing, hit, and then relax. You can do it on the dashboard when you're stopped in traffic. You can do it at your desk. If you are new to this, if you're truly just starting out, please get a little obsessed about this. You know, like be made fun of. Get people to ask, why are you doing this? You know, you're like chilling, relaxing with someone, and you're going like this. They will laugh, that's fine. But you know, it will develop these tendons strong enough to support your whole arm weight, and will get you used to the concept of selective effort. See, in the piano, in order to do the crazy things that we do, believe it or not, just now, my hand was 99% of the time relaxed. The thing, because I trained my fingers to only work when necessary, and then for my whole rest of the arm to be relaxed. And that's the only way that you can play eventually fast, and that you can play for a long time and not develop tendonitis issues. So now, let's switch away from the physicality of playing for just a little while and talk about the way the keyboard is put together. If you are a professional, you know this. If you already play, you know this. But still, I want you to, you know, just like take a moment to think about how the keyboard is put together. So the white keys go on and on and on and on and on, but the black keys go in groups. There's a group of 3, little break, group of 2, little break, 3, 2, 3. It's kind of fun to, for children, it's kind of fun to find the groups of 2 and hop around. If you're a teacher, you may want to develop a little song, group of 2. And then group of 3. That's how the keyboard is put together. That breaks up this, you know, this intimidating strain of the white keys into a pattern, right? There's a pattern of 2, 3, 2, 3 black keys. Now the white keys have names, they have letter names, but there's only 7 of them. So it's a really easy alphabet. There's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and that's it. The A is inside of the group of 3 black keys to the right here. That's where A is. So then this is B, C, D, E, F, G, and look, A again. What that means is that the white keys, in terms of the music, are actually not equal distances apart. You know, one would think that all the, you know, that when you move from white key to another, then these are some kind of equal size steps, but they aren't, because if there is a black key in between the 2 whites, then it's a so-called whole step, because there is another note in between. Now, if there isn't, then it's a so-called half step, because that is indeed the smallest building block of the piano. And musically speaking, they sound different. The whole step is a larger step for the sound to take than a half step. So that, you know, that means that if you only use the white keys, you already have some amount of interest, and that depending on when you put your hand to do your 5-finger exercise, you will get a different melody, right? If you put it on C, then you go whole step, half step, whole step, and it sounds a certain way. It sounds kind of balanced, kind of happy. But if you put it, for instance, here on A, then you have whole step, half step, whole step, different melody. Later on, you will learn that this is the so-called minor mode. If you put it on E, look, it has a very exotic sound to it almost. If you put it on B, it's outright strange sound. Back in the day, in the ancient Greece and whatnot, they would be called the Locrian mode. Very rarely used, very strange. So When you do your five finger exercises, don't treat it as this boring thing that you have to get through in order to get to the fun part. That is not true at all. Have fun with it, be creative with it. Put your hand in a different place and listen to the different sounds. That's one kind of tune. This, a different kind of tune. Listen to the whole steps and the half steps. These are the building blocks of music as we know it. Then when you get to the left hand and you start doing them together, put your hand at different distances apart and listen to the different sounds. You're already composing music, you're already exploring the different sounds of the keyboard. There are some distances between the hands you could pick that will sound pretty bad. Unless you're going for this really disjunct, dissonant kind of sound. So have fun with it. You know, the keyboard is a really miraculous world, even just the black keys of all these possibilities. And as you tune into your body and making sure that it works the right way, also stimulates your brain and learn, you know, the different possibilities that the keyboard has to offer. So when you are comfortable with your five finger scale, especially when you've been doing them together, if you start on the same key, like say C and C, that's the most blended, that's the most balanced sound you can get. Now the ability to do that may take a while, right? Because even though both hands are playing the same music, they are using different fingers at different time, and this is the whole point about the piano. If you're learning the piano as a health benefit, you know, if you're interested in what wiring it introduces to your brain, this is it right there. You know, like your fingers are naturally wired to move together. So if you teach them to play to work independently, pinky with the thumb, ring finger with index finger, middle fingers together here, admittedly, index with the fourth, thumb with the pinky, then you are actually, even though you're musically speaking playing this very simple thing, you are actually creating vast new neural pathways in your brain, and it's very exciting. Now eventually there's gonna be time to get out of just five fingers and go for a longer time. So here I want to introduce to you the so-called major scale. Major scale is the particular sequence of the white keys that starts on C. Later on I'll show you how to replicate it in different parts of the keyboard using the black keys as well. But for now, let's start on C. Every Westerner has heard that sound. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. This is the particular sequence of whole steps and half steps that was not invented along with the keyboard. This is somehow, at least in the European kind of like white people Western culture, this is just like really the sequence that sounded natural to people for a long time, way before they could conceive of the sophisticated machine that a keyboard is. That's how these melodies tended to go. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, half step, whole step, whole step. All these medieval monks, and before that, the ancient Greeks and Romans, that just felt intuitive to them, you know, like to have this really interesting mixture of whole steps and half steps that is very irregular when you think about it. Right? If you start on C, you have a whole step, half step, then whole step, whole step, three of them, and then a half step. One would think that it's a little arbitrary how that works, but it just really sounds natural to our ears. And so let's learn it. Let's learn the mechanics of how to have a continuous run of notes for a long time. The key to that is using your thumb as a pivot. All right, so you start out on C with your thumb, remember about the mechanics. You go onto your third finger, the middle finger, and then look, you put your thumb under for F, pivot, and finish up. And on the way back, you backtrack your step exactly, you get to the thumb, you put your middle finger over it, pivot, and finish back. So having that skill of putting your thumb under and pivoting, and then on the way down, after the thumb pivoting and putting some kind of other finger, it could be this index or third, middle, or ring, allows you to have a continuous run of notes for a long time. So at first you may want to do the major scale just for one octave. An octave is a distance from one key of the same letter name as the other. So from C to C is an octave, from F to F is an octave, and go back. But I would encourage you to actually start expanding and doing it for a longer time sooner, because you might as well, right? So you just start on C, put your thumb under, pivot, and then instead of the pinky to finish, you put your thumb under again, and look, you're on C again, ready to start over. And then again, and then when you feel satisfied, you backtrack, you go all the way to the thumb, put the middle finger over, now put the fourth finger, the ring finger over, and just alternate. Middle, ring, middle, and so on and so forth. Now, the reason playing fast on the piano sounds cool is not just that it's fast. See, I can do this. It was kind of fast, but it definitely didn't sound cool. What sounds cool on the piano is that every single note in this fast sequence is identical as far as its strength and length. So I really trained my hands to be a machine that manufactures notes at the same exact speed, and every step is exactly the same amount of loud. That is the key. So speeding up before you get to the point of the fingers being of the notes being really exactly the same is almost like a step backwards. You know, you want to always have 100% quality before going faster. But then, you know, if you do everything diligently, if you swing and hit and relax, swing and hit and relax, and really listen, you will eventually be ready to go faster. For that, I would encourage you to use the metronome. So I have a metronome right here on this keyboard. You can download a metronome app on your phone. They're all free. I mean, some of them are for money, but I don't see why, because there's so many free ones. I'm gonna set it for some kind of reasonable tempo. This is 90. And now you're synchronizing, you're playing with the metronome. Something really magical happens when you do that. For those of you who are already practicing pianists, even professional ones, but are not using the metronome, I would encourage you to revise that. There's really something deep that happens in the brain when we delegate the command on when to play to something other than our brain, because our brain will want to kind of, you know, like it kind of wants to sound good, it wants to feel good about itself, like the ego, you know, the ego mind. So what winds up happening is that we, you know, when something is harder, we kind of may get used to slowing down a little bit to accommodate for that. And if something's easier and we know what we're doing, we can go faster because we know what's going on, right? So the scale, you know, at that ego mind level may look like this, right? The thumb pivot is a little harder, so we slow down there, and this is easier, so we speed up. But that's not gonna take us anywhere. Like that's that's gonna create a habit of unevenness that we don't want. So you want to go with the metronome and let it dictate when you play. Even if you're practicing real music, you know, say like if you're an intermediate pianist and you're practicing this piece. What could happen in your brain, and I've seen it thousands of times in my private practice, is that people go like this, and then slow down, right? Well, only the metronome will tell you to be slow enough in the beginning when it's easy, and then be fast enough in the fast part when it's difficult. Your own brain may start cutting corners for you. Another incredible benefit of playing with a metronome is what I call the speed train. See, if I master my scale at 90 beats per minute, say I'm a beginner pianist, I just worked it out, it feels good, I'm ready to go on. Don't jump to 120, turn it from 90 to maybe 95. And guess what? It feels pretty much exactly the same. You're doing the exact same thing, right? Like you're in tune with your body, everything is working great, you're even, perfect, right? You turn it up to 100. It feels just about the same, right? Everything is working perfectly. You have full control over every single note. It's awesome. 105, same thing. Well, you do it for a week, you are playing at 200 beats per minute, and you have the same perfect control over what's going on. That is the way to get fast. In a way, that is the quickest way to get fast. Even though it seems slow, it seems like you're just inching, right? It seems like you're not making any progress, speeding up from 90 to 95 or from 95 to 100, but you really are. And in a way, using the metronome and what I call the speed train is a way to trick your body into playing fast without feeling different about it. And I really, really highly recommend it. So that brings me to the last portion of chapter 1, the so-called arpeggios. Arpeggio is Italian for like the harp, like the instrument of a harp, and is used to play chords in a one note at a time kind of way. A chord, in its simplest meaning, is when you take a key, skip the next one, go to the next one, skip the next one, and go to the next one. So you have every other key pressed. You can have 3 of them. You can keep going and add a 4th note. They get more kind of jazz sounding as you do that. But in the simplest form is just 3. So it's kind of like playing the scale but skipping every other note and stopping right there. So that's what a chord sounds all put together. And now the arpeggio is when we play one note at a time. And then of course, you know, since the same chord is going to exist here and here and here, the arpeggio is going to cover all the ground, especially when you press the pedal down here. It's as piano-y as it gets. So how do you play an arpeggio? Well, again, you can pick any one. I'm showing you the C major arpeggio, but you can do A. It will drop you off in a minor key. Again, explore. Hey, you may want to start on B. You may enjoy this kind of unsettling sound. All white keys are going to feel the same. But the fingers you're going to do are 1, 2, 3 as in thumb, index, and middle. And then you're going to put your thumb under. It's a pretty wide stretch. Go to the thumb again, unpivot, For the left hand, it's gonna be the mirror image. So going up, you're gonna start on the pinky, go middle, index, thumb, pivot, pivot over, right, over your thumb, middle, index, thumb, and so forth. Same rules apply as they do to the scale, right? You want to be perfect, good swing, relaxation, all the notes even, employ the metronome. But there is one additional characteristic of it that I want to break down. See, from here to here is this pretty dramatic twist, right? Like you see how my elbow went all the way here and untwist. When you practice the arpeggio slowly, when you first feel it out, don't wait to get to this point. I would encourage you to use what in my practice I call the principle of get there, then wait. So what I encourage students to do is to, the moment you hit this key, immediately go to this one. And really don't be afraid of twisting your whole elbow to accommodate for that pivot. So get there right away, and then you're there when it's time to play. Another tennis metaphor comes to mind. If you play tennis, you can only deliver a good hit if you're well planted on your feet, you have time to get a good swing, and then you hit it really well. If you're just rushing to reach it, it's not going to be a powerful hit, right? So when you watch a tennis match, the moment the player figures out that the ball is getting that way, they book it. They book it because they want to wait for the ball to hit it. Let's do the same thing on the piano. You know that your thumb is going to that note, right? So the moment you can, which is right now, go there, and then when it's time, press the key. Same here. You know that after you hit this, you're gonna end up here, right? So don't wait. Go there right away, and then play when it's time. This way, you are practicing the speed of pivoting, even when you're playing slow. And that is also a key to building speed. You can build speed while playing slow. How? Well, by being ready for whatever is next right away, right the moment you can. And that's particularly evident in arpeggios, right? We can be lazy and kind of, oh crap, I have to go here. Or we can go there right away and wait for the next metronome click when it's time. And this way, when you are ready to play fast, you've already practiced being fast at pivoting. So, last but not least, I've shown you everything so far on the white key basis. The way the keyboard is put together with the black keys filling in the whole steps with their own half step is that sequence of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and everything else that it has to offer can be transposed to other keys and get you to use the black keys. So whenever you're ready, say like your C major scale is going pretty well, see what it would take to have the same melody, the same whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, starting say on D. Well, then you're gonna have to employ the black keys. You're gonna have to go whole step, right, with the half step right in between, and then half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, with the half in between, and half. And I would encourage you to go into these other major scales that use the black keys sooner than later. You could go online and look up the fingerings. Some of them are going to be a little bit different. Most of them will work on the same 1, 2, 3, 1, pivot, 1, 2, 3, 4 basis, but some do not. But there's a lot of resources. And again, I'm here, I'm available. uh, you can write a comment if you're watching on Facebook Live, or this is going to be on YouTube in a few hours. And we can even arrange for like a little lesson. I really want to share with as many people as possibly what I do, because I was not always a healthy pianist. Like when I was a teenager, I was in this extremely competitive Eastern European educational model where everybody was so good, and I was so stressed out, and my technique just had like almost like psychological blockages to it. And it took me a long time to actually realize that that it's doing it the right way that gets you to play well. And then I've been teaching individual people for a long time and get really good at it. Um, so if you just have a quick question, or if you just want to like hop on FaceTime or Skype or something and show me what you do, and get a little bit of feedback, then please let me know. I'm really here to help. And again, I'm Marcin Bella. This is Piano for Everyone. That was chapter 1, and chapter 2 is coming up. Thank you so much.